Hey, what's up, guys? Some of you guys follow me on Instagram, and you'll see sometimes on there I post food that I cook, whether it's chili, whether it's Korean barbecue, roast, steaks, pork chops, all sorts of stuff. And I've been asked for recipes, and I've been asked how I can cook meals like that in the barracks on a budget. So I decided to start a new series called Cooking with Bacon, where me, the amazing Bacon, is going to show you guys how to do it, some tips, some tricks, and things that you can do in order to make your time in the barracks worthwhile and able to eat healthy food that's good for you. And all you got to use is that right there and that down there. Hey, what's up, guys? So, welcome to the very first edition of Cooking with Bacon. And today, I'm just going to start out kind of basic with one of the main staples that you see in a lot of keto diets. Now, for just a little bit of a background, I'm not personally keto all the time myself. Whenever I cook for myself, I eat keto. I buy keto ingredients, but obviously when you've got the DFAC and stuff like that, you can't just go 100% keto just because of the food choices that you get. So I try to stay low carb as much as I can to DFAC, but then when I cook for myself, I cook keto, and it ends up being a pretty good balance. It's now June 1st. Hopefully I can get this video uploaded also on June 1st, but it's now June 1st. And since January 21st, I've lost 27 pounds, just mostly cooking on my own and eating with low carb at the DFAC. So obviously that's helped a lot. So I try to cook mostly keto. Anything that you find on my channel is going to be keto. So if you're on the ketogenic diet, then this is something that you can use that's also budget friendly and can help you out to where you can cook in bulk and meal plan and have several meals ahead of time. Anyways, first things first, this is going to be a pork broth, a pork bone broth. And so what I started with is 2 ham hocks that I got from the commissary. Both of these, they cost me $3.39. So obviously that right there, you're getting a pretty good deal. First, what I like to do is I like to set up my grill, and I'm going to sear these a little bit just to get some drippings going, just to give a good base for the broth. Let me grab some seasonings. All right, so I like to stick kind of basic for the most part. Occasionally I'll add some extra ingredients here and there, but just regular black pepper. Here in Korea, the kind of choices are a little bit limited, so instead of being able to get the Himalayan pink salt, I had to deal with Mediterranean sea salt. I prefer the pink salt, but this works just as well. And then just basic seasoning salt. I use it on a lot of stuff because it gives you flavor without giving you a lot of the extra stuff you don't need. And then I'm going to throw a couple of bay leaves in there. And then just a little bit of chili powder. I like my stuff spicy. You'll see with my ingredients, I have jalapenos and stuff like that. Obviously, you can omit those if you want. Not everybody's into hot food, but it's just something I'm a fan of. So, anyways, I'm just going to take and give a quick seasoning around these ham hocks. Being ham hocks, the seasoning's not going to stick a whole lot, so you'll add a lot of these seasonings again once you actually put it in the liquid and get it started. But I like to do a good salt and pepper base just to kind of get it started. Now with this sea salt, you're not going to get a whole lot on there because it is coarse ground. So you're definitely going to need to add quite a bit once you start actually making the broth. All right. So with just the salt and pepper on there, we're going to take these. And like I said, we're just going to start out and we're going to sear a little bit. Obviously, because of the size of them, not going to be able to close the grill. So we're just going to let that sit. And while I do that, first things first, we're going to clean up after ourselves because this is a big pet peeve of mine. We're going to make sure we clean up after ourselves and don't get it all gross and nasty. Just because you're living like a bachelor or bachelorette does not mean that you have to be gross. So clean up your mess, disinfect yourself, and you're good to go. What I'm grabbing here out of my freezer is basically everything that I've made over the last month or so. Anytime that I make vegetable clippings, anything that I make stews, or anything that has onions, all of that, I basically take and I leave all the clippings and all of that stuff and I throw them into a bag. One of the biggest things about living on a budget, plus making this bone broth, is you want to make use of everything. Don't waste anything because it can all be used, especially whenever you're dealing with broth like this. All of this stuff, you're just going to end up skimming out anyway, so you're just using it for flavor. You don't actually need it to be there. All right. So, I'm going to set this crock pot to low. This crock pot has 4 different settings. It cost me $50, but you can buy other crock pots for substantially less, like $25, that all you got to do is just regulate the temperature yourself. I got this because I can kind of, as the old Ronco commercials go, I can set it and forget it. That's a big benefit for me just because of the hours that I work, but you can get one a lot cheaper. The George Foreman grill itself, it only ran me $15. All right, we're going to turn these just a little bit. All right, so as I said before, this right here is celery and carrots that are just trimmings. As you see, it's just like the tops of the stalks and stuff of the celery. And then this bag is more of that. And it's also, as you guys can see, show you under the camera, it's got some onions, some onion peels, got some jalapenos in there that I diced up. And then there's also some mushrooms and some limes in there as well. Because I like a little bit of a citrus flavor to my broth. I think it's good to use as a base, especially if you're making like a little bit of a spicier soup or something. I am going to actually go ahead and I'm going to put some fresh onion in there as well, just because I like an onion flavor and there's not a whole lot of onion in there, as you can see. All right. Now, the good thing that makes it quick with this is whenever you're doing this, you don't have to, let's see if I can actually move this camera over just a little bit. All right, so while that's cooking. All right, so you don't actually have to take these peelings. You just throw them right in there. You don't even have to unpeel it. And again, like I said, it's because you're going to sift all that stuff out. So you're really only using it for the flavor. You don't have to fine cut this stuff or anything. You just throw it in there just like that. So it's super quick, super easy. Just get it done and over with, and you're good to go. All right, rotate this again. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of fluid to this. I would say water, but I made a roast last week, and after it was done and all the drippings and stuff like that, I poured it into a container because, again, like I said, you don't want to waste anything, right? So this is the dripping. Look how much good, healthy fat content is on top of that. And if you look, you can see that there's sediments going around in it. So this is going to be a really good source for your broth. So I'm just going to pour that right on top there and get that started, all right? Again, like I said, you can use water and stuff like that. It doesn't have to be a broth. This is just drippings that I use. And as I said before, if you're cooking on a budget, especially when it comes to broth and stuff like that, you don't want to waste any parts of your cooking. You don't want to waste any of the ingredients or anything because it can all be turned around and used for something else. Now, this is where I'm going to add just a little bit of the chili powder, all right? We do have jalapenos in there, so you don't want to go overboard with the seasoning because remember, as it slow cooks, all that seasoning, it's going to get really, really, really fully bodied in the broth, so you don't want to go overboard with it. And here's just some of the black pepper. Again, I like a lot of pepper. Flavor it to taste. Hit it with some of that seasoning salt. And then I'm just going to throw a couple of bay leaves in there. Again, the bay leaves, you don't really have to worry about that much, just because you are going to sift them out. Generally speaking, you want to make sure that they're out of any soups or stews or anything that you make. But in this situation, we're sifting it all out anyways. So just 2 to 3 bay leaves we're going to throw in there. I'm going to turn this one more time. We got a little bit of drippage going. All right. All right, let's go ahead and clean up after ourselves real quick. We're just going to set those seasonings right off to the side. All right, and what you see here in this bag is this is just a couple of pork chop bones that I had, again, same thing as with that. Whenever you're making bone broth, especially with keto, obviously it's called bone broth for a reason. You can use the marrow and stuff like that whenever it slow cooks for your broth, and that's what helps, give it that full body and give it all the nutrients and stuff that you need. So you just throw that right on in there. Again, clean up your surface, because just because you're single doesn't mean you're gross. All right. Which, for the record, just so you guys know, I'm not single. I'm very married, got 5 kids, but while I'm over here, I'm living like a bachelor, so got to make the best of it, right? All right, so right now, we've got this going, we've got a little bit of juice dripping, and we've got this started. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get a cup of water and just add to where it's just over that so we can kind of start that simmering, right? All right. Let's see. All right. Now we're just going to take this, we're going to put these 2 ham hocks in there, right? Put it just in there like that. And you see this tray here? This tray has those drippings in there. We're just going to take that, we're just going to pour that right in there. All right, good deal. Yeah. Don't forget, I'm going to unplug our grill just because you don't want to crack your porcelain plate or anything. So, as we go, we're going to let that sit, add some more water to it. What you want to do is you want to cover to where the water in there is just up to the top of that meat. Because remember, as you cook and as you slow cook this and you're going to sift it and the fat separates and all of that, it is going to condense down. So it seems like it's really, really watery now. But once we let this sit, we'll actually notice a huge, huge difference with the consistency and the flavor of it. So, last things last, just because that looked like it kind of needed a little bit more, we're going to throw just a little bit more salt, a little bit more pepper. Pepper first and then salt. And then we're just going to do a little bit more of this seasoning salt. Doesn't have to be a whole lot, because the flavors of the vegetables are really what's going to pop there. But as you can see, you got plenty in there. You're already getting a good color with the drippings and stuff that we put in there. So now all we have to do, we're just going to take the lid, we're going to put it on there, and basically, we're just going to wait. Now, we're going to cook this for approximately 24 to 36 hours. Let it really sit. A couple of times, we're going to skim it off, and I'll be back in the next video of cooking with bacon and show you how to skim it off, and eventually at the end show you how to fully pull everything out of there, and then we can container it up, test it out, and see if it needs to be seasoned anymore or anything like that. But that's basically a good way to get started, and we're going to see how that turns out, and I'll talk to you guys next time.